Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Term 2 Capstone conference call. My name is Alan Kingsley. I'm one of the academic advisors here in the graduate program. And joining me tonight is Dr. Jim Loughran, the program chair for the MBA, Dr. Wayne Ems, and Dr. Prakash Menon, who are our instructors for Business 700 Capstone. Tonight we're going to be reviewing the class, giving you an idea of what you've gotten yourselves into. We'll be talking about what happens in the class, what you can expect to see, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions, get clarification, and start thinking about how you're going to cap off your experience here in the MBA program. One final reminder: we are recording the conversation tonight, so that is happening right now. This is going to go up on our YouTube channel, and. Well, with that, looks like we've got a good turnout. Dr. Loughran, are you ready to take the reins?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Alan. And first of all, my name is Dr. Jim Loughran, and it's my pleasure to be with you guys tonight. And I want to congratulate you right off the top to getting this point in your academic journey. I know it's not easy. Most of you have a lot of other responsibilities, whether it's your job, your family, or both, or other things going on in your life. And a very small percentage of the U.S. population has a graduate degree. Depending what state you're in, it's probably close to 10%. And so, and with an undergrad, it's closer to 40%. So you've really put yourself in a very different group and should be proud of that accomplishment. And what we've really designed in this course is to give you an opportunity to showcase your skills, to really be able to apply what you've learned. And that doesn't mean that everything that you see in this course you've seen before, but it really is meant to enhance those skills and have you walk away with these overall MBA outcomes that we want students that earn a degree here at Post to be able to display to an employer. So as you're thinking about this course, I always say, what I talk about tonight can be overwhelming, but just always consider it like eating an elephant. If I told you how to eat an elephant, you would do it one bite at a time. That's what we're going to have you do tonight, is think about the course one bite at a time and think about the different things and activities that you have to do. And we're going to go through each of those. And I really am very thankful that both instructors that teach the course on a regular basis, I teach the course from time to time as well, but we have Dr. Ems and Dr. Menon, who will be teaching the next two sections of the course here in this upcoming term. And so they're both seasoned instructors with working in this course, and specifically with the simulation, which we're going to talk about in a few moments, and I'll have them chime in and give their experiences with the course to help you. But the whole reason we're here is to help you be successful. And we care deeply about your success, or we wouldn't be here. And so know that going into it. And also know we have a very high success rate. So this course is not meant to weed people out at the end. Absolutely not. It's really meant just the opposite, to really be able to for you to bring everything in that you've learned into the program in one place. So the course is not easy, but it's doable. It may not feel doable right in the beginning, but we have had a lot of students, successful students over the years in this particular capstone course with a very, very high success rate. So the way this course is set up is that we have virtual teams, so that's one aspect of the course. And when I say, oh gosh, I have to work with virtual teams, I don't really like working with others, it's a lot of extra stress. What about if I have to work harder than others? It's not fair. I mean, all those things happen in organizations as well. I will say, having worked with this course for many years, it doesn't happen very often, in the sense that we have students at the end of their program. They're just like you. They want to go on, get that degree, and go on with their life. And so people are extremely motivated. Now, that doesn't mean from time to time that we don't have a student that, for whatever reason, is not fully engaged. But it is rare, very rare in this course. So relax about the virtual teams. We randomly put students in these teams, and the purpose of the teams is that you're going to run a simulated company, just like it was your own business. And you're going to be working with a group of 4 to 5 total students in these teams, and you're going to be making decisions about this company. And we use a third-party system called Capstone, which is basically running a company that you make sensors for business to business. And although that may not seem exciting, it isn't exciting from a sense that you're going to be making a lot of key decisions as you would in any business, such as how much product you're going to make, what price are you going to sell it for, what markets are you going to serve, how are you going to serve those markets, are you going to use overtime with your employees, are you going to use second shift, how much plant capacity are you going to use. So you're going to have marketing decisions, you have human resource decisions, you have production issues, you have quality decisions as well. And so there's a lot of things to consider, just like you're running your own business. And so what's going to happen is we're going to get you just situated with the simulation in the beginning. So you're going to be able to get access as soon as you get to the course. When the course starts, you'll see an announcement. You'll be able to click a link, and you'll be given an ID, and you put your information in, and you'll get into simulation. You'll be able to work in there before any major assignments due, before you start working on a team. We're just getting you to learn different aspects of the simulation. So you can relax here in the beginning. We do want to make sure that you take a little quiz about the simulation independently. And again, just so we know that you've learned it and you feel comfortable just how to navigate it. And then also you're going to be doing some practice simulations with your team. So when you get onto the simulation, you'll be given all the information, and then your instructor will have your team set up for you. And so you'll be able to see what team you're on, and then your instructor will tell you what team you're on, and then you'll be able to work with that team within the simulation as well as in Blackboard. And so in Blackboard, we have teams set up for you, and that you can communicate back and forth to each other. Most teams use other communication tools. We don't dictate. Whatever you do use, we ask that all teams, all members are able to use that system. So we don't want you to say, oh, I'm going to use the system. Unfortunately, it's not available in Germany, and we have a student that's from that country. That's not fair. That we won't allow. So we need to make sure whatever you decide that all team members can use it, and that you work together and collaborate and be professional with each other, meet at times that are best for all members, the very best you can. So if you have people on different time zones, that you are respectful to that and think about it. You don't just make a decision that you always meet at 6 o'clock, because that could be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or if you're in Europe, that could be very late at night. So thinking about and respecting differences is very important as we go in and start thinking about how to develop a great team. One of the things we do very early on in the class is do a contract. And so you have to adhere to a contract that you're developing amongst each other. And that contract is going to be basically your roles and responsibilities, and what you're going to agree to is a contract. So if you start thinking about how you're going to adhere to that, and know what, hey, I signed this, so I'm going to adhere to it, and so should the other members. You have an opportunity to evaluate your other members, and be able to, if you could mute yourself, I appreciate. I'm getting some background, but you get a chance to evaluate a peer review twice, and so you'll be able to be fair, but also, be honest on how the other folks are doing. And maybe if somebody's not fully engaged, or maybe they're letting work, doing a lot of work and not really able to meet the meetings, even though they said they were going to, or meet their responsibilities, you should rate them fairly on that. be able to be sincere and give them an honest score, and they'll get a chance to improve. And then the next time, then they can get a higher score. But that lower score is can be very detrimental to them. So that's why you need to take it seriously. The number one reason somebody does not pass this course, among anything else, it is that they get poor peer reviews. More often than not, when somebody fails, it's because they did not get all the points for their team assignments, because the peer review will reduce their total points on those assignments. So I want you to think about, first thing you want to commit to is being a great team member and being collaborative, professional. If you have disagreements, you deal with those in a very professional way. So as you're going through this simulation, you're making decisions. And as I said, you're making decisions on marketing, how much you're going to produce, how you're going to use your team, the quality of the products, and then you're going to see lots of reports that you can look at. Most important, there's lots of great reports, but I would strongly state that the Capstone Courier report, if you don't write anything down tonight, just say, as far as the simulation, that report gives you a lot of important information that your team can dissect and look at how you're doing in terms of marketing, the profits, the sales, market share, all those kind of things, and how your individual products are doing in this category. Lots of other great reports as well, and I'm not suggesting that's the only one you look at. I am saying that you get some great reports that you can use to make informed decisions. And when you make those decisions, we call that a round. And so we have 2 practice rounds where it doesn't go anywhere, anything towards the actual simulation. Is just learning. You're working with each other and learning how to work with each other. And then you go into the actual rounds. And so as you go into those rounds, then you're going to be making decisions, and the professor will give you feedback in the group area, the whole team, on what went well, what didn't go well. And we will never tell you how to fix your issues. We want you to use the skills you learn in the MBA and collaborate with each other to be able to decide what to do. And so we're not going to say do A, B, C, and you'll be able to fix everything. That's not the point of the simulation. But we will tell you what we see. Your profits are low. You needed a loan. You ran out of money. You have marketing issues that you need to deal with, and so on. And so that's really important for you to be able to get the feedback, look at the reports, make decisions, going into the next round. And all the dates for when those rounds will be given to you ahead of time, so you'll know exactly how the course is laid out as you start. So you'll be able to come up with plans when you want to meet, how you want to meet. I do strongly encourage you to have an overall leader, and to make sure that when there's a decision to be made and you can't reach agreement, that somebody's going to make a final decision. So it's important that you work just like you would in an organization, that you have different roles and responsibilities. Those roles and responsibilities can change, throughout the different rounds. Some folks encourage that. Others may want to stay, in what they're comfortable with. But I think it's important that you are not just looking at your own area. Just like in a business, you can't make decisions in a vacuum. You have to understand the big picture of what's going on in the organization. And a lot of times what we see with teams that struggle is that they're making decisions only with considering one thing. And sometimes we'll have students send us an email. I follow production perfectly, and I don't know why I'm overstocked. Something's wrong with the simulation. What they didn't consider is they made some very poor marketing decisions, and nobody wants their product. Could be priced wrong. It may not serve the target market, and so consumers don't want it, right? So that's not a production issue. That's a marketing issue that affects your sales. One of the number one things you want to stay away from in the simulation is large overstocks. Ideally, you want to finish every round with one product left. That's not going to happen likely, very unlikely, but the closer to one, the better off you are. So I want you to think about producing products people want, understanding the marketing aspects. You don't want to run out, because when you run out, you lose sales, right? Just like in the real world. But it's a lot worse to be overstocked than run out. But you don't want to be too conservative, and you don't want to go crazy and end up with a lot of stuff at the end, because that really hurts your financials. So bottom line to the simulation is you're going to get all the information you need to access it. The first several weeks in the class, you're going to work as a team. You're going to make decisions. You're going to be evaluated by your team. You're going to write reports that give you a recap, that you're going to give the professor a recap as if you're writing to stakeholders in the organization, explaining what happened, how you're going to fix the issue, and what went well, what didn't go so well, and giving a recap on that. And you'll be writing these reports as a team. So there are going to be team aspects, and this simulation will be all team for the first several weeks. Then as you get in later into the simulation, then there's something called Comp XM, which is the individual portion. So if you're just kind of going with the flow, letting the team do everything, not really engaged, you're really going to probably get poor peer reviews and also be clueless when you have to go in and individually do it. So you're going to have individual rounds later on. So, the first 5 weeks you're going to be working as a team, and then you're going to be doing individual. So that's just more motivation for you to stay highly engaged with your team. We often see a high correlation between poor peer reviews and a low comp XM score, and that's that individual portion. And you're evaluated on your rounds. You're also evaluated on your knowledge of the simulation. And so in a nutshell, that's the simulation part. I'll let my professors jump in, anything they want to add, and then I'm going to open it up to the students on the simulation. I still need to talk about the Capstone project, and I'm still going to talk about a few other aspects, but I just want to make sure you understand the simulation. Dr. Menon, anything you want to add?
Sorry, I was muted. Good evening, everybody. I think Dr. Logren covered the prime aspects of the simulation. A couple of things I wanted to add was the teamwork. That's very, very essential, and you have to come up with the input values for your simulation on a consensus basis and try to collaborate very well with your teams. And the other thing is Capstone support is very good. I cannot jump in and see what inputs you have while you're doing a simulation. So make sure you contact Capstone support if you have any issues with that. But as you get the simulation complete and you look at the results, I'm there to give you some feedback on that as to what you could do towards your next round in the simulation. And also Capstone provides a wealth of articles and knowledge on their site that you need to read and try to understand and try to get the explanation of what each of these steps in the Capstone simulation actually does, and that'll help you a lot. And of course, we are here to help you too, so feel free to reach out anytime. Dr. Ems?
Thank you, Dr. So I do have a couple of things. I'm not sure if I'm getting, if there's static or feedback on my voice. Sorry if there is. A couple of things. Number one, as Dr. Logren mentioned, if you are in different time zones, try and work that out so that everybody's able to attend the meetings. If you're not able to attend a meeting, it'll be up to you to catch up on the information that was discussed in the meeting. So as has already been sort of discussed, teamwork is so important. A couple of other things. If for whatever reason, whether it be a funeral or something work related, if you are going to be away for a couple of days, it's a good practice to let your teammates know that, you're going to be away Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with limited access to the internet. That way, when it comes time for the peer reviews, they shouldn't penalize you for having to be away on some type of an emergency basis. And then the other point that I wanted to make was that when you go into your weekly materials in Unit 1, you will find a document there called a team member guide that Capstone produces, and I strongly urge you to download it. I think it's about 40 pages, so unless you can have access to free printing, you may not want to print it, but I do encourage you to download the team member guide. It provides you with a wealth of knowledge of how to navigate through the simulation, and I think you'll find it very valuable. And then, has already been mentioned a couple of times, but I think it's important to mention it, is that if you are running into issues, you're having trouble sort of understanding a concept, or why your team is not doing very well, please, I do encourage you to either call Capstone or to email them. They know as much about this simulation as Tiger Woods knows about golf or LeBron James knows about basketball. They're very, very knowledgeable, and at the drop of the hat, they'll provide you with a very detailed aid and explanation. That, as Dr. Logren mentioned, they're not going to tell you what you should do to correct the issues that you're having, but they will point you in the right direction. So download the team member guide, and if there's a situation where you're struggling, please feel free to reach out to Capstone. They're more than happy to get your emails or phone calls.
Yeah, I think they're all great points. I just want to emphasize that communication, just like any organization, is the foundation. We had a team, a couple terms ago, where one member went in after all they agreed on the decisions and went and changed them all. And this particular member wasn't fully engaged in it, didn't even know they did it. And that was very upsetting to the team, and they wanted the Capstone to be completely reset. We're not going to do that. We have to make sure that we stay by the rules. If you have a member that did that, then you need to deal with that in the peer review. But I would say that you should have one person that always finalizes your decision. They're the last person to look at, and nobody touches it afterwards, and that should be in your contract. So that happens sometimes, and it's usually because of poor communication, because somebody didn't know, somebody already did it, didn't go in and look at it or anything. They just went in and did what they thought was right, but didn't communicate to anybody. And so then the team wasn't happy with the decisions. So I want you to learn from that and realize, gosh, we need to make a time that these decisions are in, and nobody comes in afterwards. All the final decisions are due, due at a specific time. Your professor will give you that time, and so you'll know that way ahead of time. So that's the simulation. I'm going to open it up to any students on any questions about the simulation part, which is really, a third of the class. It's not a third of your grade, but it's one of the aspects. It's not super highly weighted, but it's a very important part of the course. Questions?
And folks, you are also welcome to type in the group chat if there's anything that you want to ask or anything you don't want to forget while anyone else is talking. I am moderating that as well, but right now the chat's empty.
Great. Yeah, let me know. I won't be able to see that if anybody types anything in. So thank you, Ellen. So I'm going to talk about the Capstone project now. And the Capstone project, in my mind, is the heart of the course, in the sense that this is something you select, that this is something that you have passion for, that you can apply what you have learned in the post-MBA program to something that's real. And what we would like you to do is be able to apply it to your job. Now, we realize not all students are able to do that because they might be between jobs, plan on leaving the job, dislike their job, and they may have another passion. And so it is not mandatory, but it is recommended, if possible, to focus something at work that can make a difference for you. We've had plenty of students that have been promoted because of this project. And I've had students come back to me and said what a difference they made. So the Capstone project can go a couple different ways. The most common way is that you pick something that needs to be enhanced or improved in some way. And so we call that a proposal. And so thinking about that, you're going to propose that something is improved. And so thinking about something at work that gives you a big headache, or you know the organization's really looking for an enhancement, and that could be anything from retention rates of employees, it could be an overall employee engagement, it could be increases of market share, new product designs, serving a new market. You can go so many different ways with this. We're very open, but one thing you must consider, number one, you must have passion. You have to be able to determine what you have passion on. But all three of us instructors know when we talk to somebody who does have passion. Every once in a while, I'll talk to a student, calls me like, yeah, I think I'm going to write on this new system we're going to put in. We're going to get some new equipment. And my boss wants me to do something with it. So I think I'm going to figure out how I'm going to write about that. Yeah, that I'm not likely, or none of us are likely to approve. And so we want you to take something that you care deeply about. It's something that you feel you can make a difference. And that difference may not be today, but it might be something in the future. And it could be your long-term career aspiration. So we want you to have that fire in the belly when you come to us. Number two, it has to tie to your concentration. So if your concentration is marketing, it needs to be a marketing issue. If it is leadership, it needs to be a leadership issue. And if it's innovation, doggone it, you better be coming to us something that's clearly around, new processes and truly being different. And if you're entrepreneurship, most likely you're going to do a new business. And that's another thing that any of you could do. You could start your own business, which we call a business plan. And you could do that if you wanted to. And it's totally up to you. But it still has to connect to your concentration. So if your concentration is leadership and you want to open up a coffee shop, you better figure out how you're going to tie leadership concepts to that topic. And so that might get a little challenging, so you need to think about that. Usually when I have leadership students that want to do a new business, usually it's a consulting business where they're going to work on developing improving, enhancing leadership processes for an organization, maybe teaching transformational leadership to employees or something like that. And you could develop a new business around that. But we've had people do businesses from anything from to microbreweries, to restaurants, to food trucks, you name it, we've had it over the years. And we will approve those as long as they tie to your concentration. So if you're entrepreneurship, you pretty much have an open book to that. If you're project management, you have to just think about how your idea, your proposal or business plan, ties to those things that you learned in project management. So I want you to think kind of deeply in your mind, something you're passionate about that ties your concentration. The third is scope. You're going to write a 20-page paper where you flip out like 20 pages all at once. What am I going to do? I got all these other things. No, you're actually writing it throughout the course. You're doing 5 pages at a time. You're going to get feedback at times from the instructor, sometimes from your peers, and you'll be able to make enhancements and turn this 20-page paper. This 20-page paper will be tied to this business plan or proposal, and it must have a few things in it. And one of the things when I think about that scope, that 20 pages, that you don't want something that's so general, so broad, you could write hundreds of pages on it, or you don't want something so specific, so obscure that you won't be able to find any information on it. So balancing those two things is very important. We want you to use resources available to you in your organization or scholarly information that you find on the databases. You could potentially, talk to your leader. We would like you to have an internal sponsor, somebody within your organization or knows a lot about the product. We don't require it, but it certainly is helpful. So the scope is really thinking about, can I write 20 pages on it? Do I have it narrowed enough to know exactly what I'm going to write about? And then the other piece related to this is, do I have the resources available to me? So if you're writing on employee engagement, can you get the HR reports on the surveys? If you're writing on marketing, can you get that marketing information? Is it available to you? Will your organization give it to you? And so you need to find that out now. If not, then pick something that you can get resources for. We had a student a few terms ago come to us saying they wanted to write about Pepsi. They were so passionate and worked for Pepsi, but they were passionate about Pepsi. And they also believed strongly in peppermint Pepsi. They believed that that would be the most popular product that Pepsi had. And they believed in this, but they had no data. They had no access to any research, and they did not know anybody at Pepsi. And we had the same similar thing for Tesla a few terms ago as well, where a student wanted to write Pepsi, but they had no connection and any data. We do not want you to just go and do a case on this and find things over the internet. This is something we want you to have detailed information on and be able to make executive decisions on the information you have. You do not have to do a for-profit. So if you're in between jobs, don't like the job you're doing now, plan on leaving, don't really connect with the organization. We've had plenty of students do nonprofits. And so we had a student that was very passionate about leadership. Their concentration was leadership. And they saw an opportunity in their community for development of leadership skills for young women, in that age group from like 17 to 23, and to teach these transformational emotional intelligence and these skills. And so she developed a nonprofit around that in her community. And she ended up eventually getting backing from leaders in her community, from church leaders in her community, and was able to launch this project and was able to use the skills that she learned in leadership to develop this business plan. So I want you to think about those things. So remember, I said passion, fire in the belly, the scope is right, ties to your concentration, and you have access to the resources. The worst possible thing you would have is you have this great idea, you're passionate, you love it, and all of a sudden you're halfway through the class and your HR director says, "No, we don't share that information. We're not interested in that." And then you're going, that could put you in a lot of additional stress, and we would have to modify your paper in some way. So you want to know all that ahead of time. So as I said, this paper is going to we'll have some components that are required. And so if you remember your Business 525 course and strategy, this is really about developing a strategy. So you're going to do goals and SMART objectives. And if you think back, like, I don't even remember that, you might want to look that up as you're going through this, next couple weeks before the class starts, because that's really important. Goals are those big picture things that you want to accomplish, and those SMART objectives are those tactics and how you do it. So I always think of goals are what you want to accomplish, and the SMART objectives are how you're going to do it and how you're going to hold yourself or others accountable to that. The other component that is required in this class is that you have to be able to describe how it ties to your concentration, and you also have to have a financial component to this. Now, that financial component can be a lot of different things. You know, if you're out launching a new business, you know, that would probably be balance sheets and a P&L, you know, the things that you're going to anticipate, startup costs and so on. If you are looking at a proposal, it might be a cost-benefit analysis. What is this going to cost me or the organization? And what is that ROI? What do you get from it? Because if anybody comes to me in my past as a leader and has an idea, my first thing is going to be, what's it going to cost? And what are we going to get from it? And how can you back that up with credibility? And so that's really what a cost benefit analysis is, and that's one consideration. But what's most important is that you think about right now with your topic, is there some sort of financial aspect to this? Is there something I can quantify so I can have a financial piece to this project?
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Hey, we have a question from Alex in the chat. Is there a concentration that's more difficult to tie to a concept in your experience?
You know, I would say no. I don't think there is. There might be some that are easier, but I wouldn't say any of them are difficult, especially since you've had all the courses and hopefully you've made a connection to that concentration. You know, I will say project management. Hopefully you can already see almost all these things I mentioned are a project, and so you probably can get that to work for about just about anything. So that one is pretty universal, but some students think leadership is a little more difficult. But when I started giving examples in terms of leadership development, how you can help your organization grow, you know, those skills, and you know, a lot of these proposals we have, they connect to leadership. Nothing can be done without leadership skills. So thinking about how it ties to it. I can't think off the top of my head I've ever had a student say, I have a concentration, I can't think of any topic with it. I don't think I've ever had that. Now, maybe we've had to help them a little bit, make connections to it. Maybe we've had to help them move in a certain direction. But we can work with you. We have, the group of us together, tons of experience in helping students get what they need. They just need to come to us with some ideas. Every once in a while, I have a student come to us and say, can you give me a topic? I really can't think of one, and I don't want that responsibility, so I just rather have you give one. We will never give you one, because that first thing I told you, we don't know what you're passionate about. We're not going to tell you to be passionate about something. So you need to think about it. And most of the students, a very high percentage after this call, they know what they want to write on. And maybe they've thought about it from time to time when they've had a class like, wow, I'd really like to implement that in my organization. That's the kind of things that I want you to think about as you're thinking about a topic. Did it answer the question, Ellen?
I think so, Alex. Does that work for you?
Sorry, I was muted in 2 different ways, but yes, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, and so the only thing I'll end up with before I give it to the professors is that, yes, you have to do a 20-page paper, but you also do a presentation on this, and this presentation would be as if you are presenting to the organizational leaders if it's a proposal, or maybe investors if it's a business plan, or maybe the community leaders if it's some sort of nonprofit. But to those important stakeholders, you would present. And so this presentation is done as a YouTube video, and you're really just one of the last things you do in the course. All right, I'm going to give it up to, I'll let Dr. Ems go first this time.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Logren. A couple of things. As Dr. Logren mentioned, passion is really, really critical. Over the 8-week course, you're virtually working on your project right from day one. So obviously it's going to be a long 8 weeks if you're working on something that you're not really passionate about or really don't care about. You're doing the paper because it's the requirement for the class. So having passion is really important. Having support from your boss or your boss's boss or somebody within the organization in a more superior position that can help you get access to financials or access to HR data. So having a mentor is very important. One of the things that I like to recommend to students is, like, right almost from day one when you get into the class, I do recommend that you email Dr. Menon or myself if whichever class you're in, and just email with a few lines that just sort of highlights what you're thinking. I work for XYZ, and we make this product, and I think if we put in robots, we could make more products and we could make them cheaper. Or I'm thinking of opening up a cannabis store. I'm an entrepreneur concentration, and that's what I'm thinking of doing. So I do recommend, and that gets you off and running right off the bat. And if your idea needs some massaging, then we can talk about that. And if it's really not going to be a topic that's going to be approved, then Dr. Menon and I can let you know right up front, and you can switch gears and try to come up with something else. So I do recommend that right early in the week you come into us with your ideas, and that way we can set you up for success. And I think that's and just with regards to the financials, you don't have to enhance your financials to the point where you're going to make $5 million the first day. I've had a couple of students that were going to make $1 million in the first year on this store, and my thought was, well, if you can make $1 million from one store in a year, why doesn't everybody in the United States open up that same store? So be cautious in your estimates. You're not going to be penalized if your business only makes $100 the first year, if there's potential for you to make a decent living from then on. So be cautious with your financials. And again, I do recommend that you come into your instructor with your ideas early, and that way we can make sure that you're going to get on the right track right from day one.
Yeah, those are great points, Dr. Emmett. I'm just going to add on that we've had a student before, a couple, where they've done this for a business plan, and as they were going through the financials, they decided this is not the business they would go into. It's just too much risk for them, not enough gain. And that's also true for business proposals after you did the cost-benefit analysis. That's not a failure. We had students like, you're going to flunk me because I can't do this. This is just not a viable project. That's actually success in my eyes, because now look how much money you've saved by not going into something and actually doing your due diligence ahead of time and realizing maybe you can come back later, in your own, later on in your life and do it another way and can be successful. But the way you were planning on it wasn't going to be profitable for you. That's okay. That's part of the project. And so don't feel that you are a failure. And then to Dr. M's point about the topic, one of the very first assignments that very first week is you have to be able to articulate what you're writing on. So, doing it if you're, uncertain, to get a hold of your professor, make sure you don't want to, sometimes I'll get things the first week that I don't understand. And I wish the student would have come to me earlier, because now we're going to get a little behind, because if I don't understand, I'm not going to approve it. So that first assignment is tentatively approving until we see more and say, yeah, it sounds good, show me more in the coming weeks. So I feel like you're in a good place. But if I get something so ambiguous, so unclear, I'm going to say I can't approve this, and we're going to have to discuss it because I don't understand your project. So kind of take a look at it. Usually it's because it's very ambiguous. All right, Dr. Menon.
Dr. Menon, before you jump in, one more question from Jennifer Beaulieu. Does the presentation have to be available to the public, or can it stay private?
You know, and you can work with your professor on that. It certainly does not have to go public. And even if you may be able to work with your professor, a lot of times what I approve is I don't even allow you to use the name of the organization. If you don't, you can call it Organization A. We don't want you to get in trouble. A lot of organizations are very leery about it. So work with your professors on this. We do not want to put you in any type of vulnerable situation. And obviously, if you're starting a new business, you don't want to share with the world how you're going to beat the competition. So we understand that.
Dave, just a couple of points here. Try to connect with us, Dr. Emsa or myself, whichever class you are in. Earlier on in the week, I've had students call me Saturday late night or even Sunday morning and saying, I don't know what my topic would be. So don't wait till then. Throw some ideas out at us, and I can try to get it into a topic format and help you, get started. So I've been doing this for quite a while now. So I've, must have done hundreds of students. So try to connect as soon as possible, as soon as the class starts, so that we can guide you through and get a good topic in place. And also, as Dr. Logren mentioned, I actually insist on my students not using the names of their organizations, because in the end, when you have this YouTube and things, it does create a confidentiality or IP issues there. So try to use any generic name you want to use. You can say, if you're writing about a post, you can say a Northeast educational institution. It may be thousands of universities out there. So it can be any one of those. So try to do that so that you're masking the real name of the company that you work for or you're engaged in. And as we are here to help you guys, to keep you afloat, so don't hesitate to reach out and just discuss whatever you want to do with your project. And you may have 2 or 3 ideas in mind. Just throw them all out and we can guide you through and help you choose the best and which one is more passionate for you. Thanks.
Thank you both. You made some great points. And I'll kind of end on the other 2 MBA requirements. And one of them is an exam. And I know when I say exam, students flip out. If you could just mute yourself, I'm getting a lot of background noise again. I really appreciate it. And so this exam is called the Peregrine, which is a national exam. And we do not grade you based on how you do an exam. But we are looking at it from a macro standpoint of looking how we, as an MBA program, is doing. We want you to take it seriously. You'll know exactly which week you're going to be doing it in, and it'll tell you the directions and how much time you have and so on. And we give you the total points if you complete it fully by the time that you were, the due date. And the reason we do it again is to be able to evaluate our school to other programs because it's a national. So we're going to be able to say, hey, is our county classes as strong as other programs? Is our marketing? Is our leadership? And so on. And so that's the purpose. Every once in a while, we'll get an email from the student saying, I'm very upset about my score. I think I learned a lot and my score is low. We're not making a judgment, nor should you, as long as you did your best. Some people just are not good test takers, or they get a lot of anxiety before it. I want you to try to relax and do the best you can. And my guess is there'll be some strong areas and some areas that weren't. And some areas you probably never had a class on because, some of you have different classes. And this is just information that MBA students across the United States and internationally, courses that they take. So you won't know all the answers no matter how you did in your program. You could be a 4.0 and you're just not, there's going to be material that you may not have had because it wasn't within your concentration. We didn't offer it, but other MBA programs do. So don't get upset about your score. Just do your very best. And the other requirements, probably my personal favorite part of the class, And I was just talking about it with another professor. It's the self-reflection. And this piece of it is really your reflection on the MBA program, on your journey, how you got here, what went well, what you would do differently, what didn't go so well. We want you to be honest. We want to know what your journey was like. And I like it so much because all of you have a different story. Now, obviously, if you don't want to share something, you shouldn't share it. But if you're the first person that will have a master's degree in your family, that's something I certainly would like to know, or something I would certainly like to share. Or, if you've been through a lot of challenges in your life. We had a student that did the Capstone project, and she went through just a very, very heartfelt divorce, something that affected her deeply. Her husband said her ex-husband said she wasn't smart enough to get an MBA. And this hit her. You know what? You were wrong about me. And the bad thing is, for many years, I believed you that I wasn't smart enough, but I am, and I'm finishing. And I'm going to meet my career goals, and I'm not letting anybody stop me. And I think that when I think about people's journeys, that's why I do what I do. That's why I love academics, because I feel like we make a difference in these person's life. And sometimes we don't get a chance to reflect on that, and this gives you an opportunity to do so. And so share what you would like to share. Think about your journey and what this degree means to you. All right, so bottom line to all this is we want you to be successful. I'm proud of the professors that teach this program. They, I want to say they were handpicked because they care about students. Now, they're not getting a free ride. They're not giving everybody an A, but they want people to be successful, and they want you to reach your potential. And to me, any MBA program that is worth it will challenge you, but give you the resources to be successful. And that's what I think we do here. So I'm proud of you guys for getting to this point. I'm proud of the team that I have for this capstone. And I'm very thankful for Alan for bringing you guys together. I think it takes a team aspect to really make this capstone successful. So Dr. Ems, anything you want to add?
No, I think you covered it all. The one thing that I failed to mention as it relates to the Capstone project is, as Dr. Logren mentioned, there are students who have seen their projects get implemented. So it's not only just an assignment that you're doing for this class. There are actually students that have been successful with the launch of their projects. I had a student that opened up a sort of a surf shop in North Carolina, and I got an email from that student not too long ago that the shop was so successful that there was going to be an opportunity for this individual to leave his full-time job because they were renting goggles and fins and surfboards and tubes, and he actually added on a little luncheon section, and he had a license to sell beer. It turned into a real successful venture for him. So when you're thinking of these topics, not only can you do the topic to receive a good grade in the class, there really is an opportunity for you to present your project to your company and see it instituted. And as Dr. Logren mentioned, there may be an opportunity for a career enhancement just strictly from this project. So on behalf of myself, and I'll let Dr. Menon give his own final comments, but we really are excited to be working with you, and that's the way I like to phrase it. We're working with you. It's a pleasure and an honor to work with you. So I look forward to working with you over the 8 weeks, and our goal is to see you succeed. And I'll just leave it at that. Thanks, Dr. Logren.
Dr. Menon.
Yeah, thanks again. I mean, I'm excited each time I teach this course because it gives me an opportunity to look at various variety of projects that you folks bring to the class, and I try my best to guide you through the process, and I learn a lot too through these individual projects. So I'm excited every time I'm teaching this course. So looking forward to. I do see a few of my students here too, so I'm looking forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. I'm going to open up to student questions. Or Alan, anything you want to add?
No, nothing from me. I'm just happy to see you guys cross the finish line. I'm very excited to see y'all take your last class.
Yeah, I think the feedback that we get, that Alan gives me, is that the students, think there's a lot of work to this class, but they really value the professors and the work that the professors do to help them be successful. And most of the students feel like this was worthwhile because they can utilize what they've done, and that's what we want. So I do get a lot of positive feedback about the course, but to me it's just kind of like an exercise program. In the beginning it's going to feel like a grind, but you're going to really like the results when you're all said and done. So any other last minute questions or comments?
Nothing in the chat.
Well, I'm very encouraged with the group here tonight, knowing that you guys took the time ahead of the time, because you're getting a jump and at least start thinking about your ideas, especially in terms of your project, but just not being shocked when you get to the course and understanding, how it's organized and taking the little bites out of it, like I mentioned. So I wish you all the very best, and thank you for taking the time tonight.
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording right now. Have a great evening.